Today we're going to talk about still lifes, and I'm going to show you how to create a still life. A still life is a painting or drawing of inanimate objects. That means things that aren't alive. And I'll show you how we can do some overlapping to show depth in our artwork and some texture to have some interest. We're going to talk about cornucopias. Now cornucopias, we always think about these when Thanksgiving time's around, but it actually dates to way back when Greek mythology was around. And there was a god named Zeus that was playing with a goat. And he accidentally broke the horn off the goat, and he felt so horrible about it that he gave that horn a special power. And anything the goat dreamt about eating or drinking all came out of this. And that's why our cornucopias are overflowing with food. We're going to add things like small pumpkins and gourds. We can add bananas and apples to our cornucopias. And then I'm going to show you how to do a watercolor resist to give it some color. Now, if you don't have watercolor, no problem. You can use your crayons or colored pencils, whatever supplies you have at your house. Let's look at some paintings of cornucopias. Cornucopias are also known as the Horn of Plenty, and these artists have jam-packed their cornucopias with lots of fruits and vegetables, all overlapping and having lots of good texture in their cornucopia. All right, today we're going to learn how to draw a cornucopia, or a horn of plenty. We're going to set up our paper horizontally. We're going to have a whole bunch of fruit and vegetables coming out of our horn on this side, and the horn will come up and around like that. So if I was starting, I would think of the fruits and vegetables that I was going to do that would be on the smaller side, and the bigger things like pumpkins, squash will go behind. I can start out here with an apple, and then behind it maybe I do a pear, my pear shape. Is smaller at the top, and sometimes maybe we have a few of the pears. You can make multiples. Put another apple back here. Maybe this apple has a leaf on it. I might want to have some grapes coming out, and when I make my grapes, I'm going to overlap to show that there's some sort of form. And the bunch gets smaller to a point at the end. I'm going to put a grape leaf. Maybe I can do a large pumpkin. I try to see where this pumpkin shape would go, just with some air drawing. I'll do my curved lines to show that it's three-dimensional. Put some texture in your stem. And then maybe I'll add some cherries. Once you have enough fruits and vegetables, you're going to make the basket. Now, if you want to keep going, you can keep going. I did not put a squash, but now I'm thinking maybe I do want a squash kind of laying down. Squash is kind of similar to a pumpkin shape, but it's larger. And you see how I overlapped? I bring my marker down, I stop, come up and over, and now I'll do the cornucopia. The cornucopia is coming up like this, so we'll do the opening. So when I do the opening, I know I want it in a round form like this, so I'll do an air drawing first. I'm gonna come out, curve it down and around, and then I'll bring and have an edge to my basket. And I'll put some texture in it. So this would be the inside. Get that colored in solid. Now this will be coming up to a point. So maybe I'll put a dot up here. No, so I have a visual cue of where my line will go up to the top. And now I'm going to bring this down and around to the edge. So it looks like that horn shape. And then I can add my line texture here. These are slightly curved, and they will start getting closer together the further up the horn we go. Now I can finish up by adding a table, and I know that's going to come across here and end right there. Now you can go ahead and color your cornucopia. If you want to color part of it, you can. Like I can just go ahead and color part of this pumpkin and maybe part of this pear. And then I can do a watercolor wash. And wherever I don't color, oops, I can get a nice watercolor wash. All right, now that I've added some crayon to some of my fruits and vegetables, I can go ahead and do a watercolor wash. Whatever colors you're using, just give it a little bit of water to wake up your watercolors. I'll start with my cornucopia. I always like to do the edges first. And then wherever I've used my crayon, it's resisting my watercolors. Give it a little bit of added texture. Take your time around your smaller areas. I have my acorn squash. I'm going to do yellow here, but I think I'll add just a little bit of orange in there as well. I could have done that with my crayon, or you can blend it with your watercolors right on top. A Granny Smith apple down here. I like how this one showed up because I have a little yellow with my crayon against the green. I'm going to think about that with my pear. Maybe I'll do it yellow. Might pick up just a wee bit of green to add in there. Maybe I'll have a ready one in the back. And you can finish off with your sky or wallpaper, probably wallpaper. Be careful when you have two wet colors next to each other. If you don't let it dry, it will cause a little bit bleeding. That might be a look you're going for. If you have a large area that you're watercoloring, you may want to do a wet on wet watercolor resist. So I'm just wetting my paper here, and then I will go ahead and add the color. This helps it blend a little bit better. While I'm doing this, I'm also thinking of how I'll do the tablecloth. I might want to pull out my crayons again and do a pattern. I want to do a floral design. It's always nice and interesting to have things going off the edge. And there we have our Cornucopia still life watercolor resist.